Hello everyone, and welcome to the review of the ENGWE Engine Pro. And this is the latest upgraded version, as it has some differences from the previous Engine Pro model, and we are also going to discuss those differences today. So let's jump in directly to the technical parts and let's see some details of this e-bike. The upgraded model comes with a larger battery. This one has 16 amp hour capacity in regards to the previous model, the non-upgraded battery, which had 12.8 or 13 amp hour capacity. So you get longer range with this model. Another upgrade is the built-in controller for the motor. This is more reliable than previous ones, it's more stable, and it comes with another type of LCD and controller and accelerator. So some improvements were also done in that department. Throughout this review, I'm also going to mention the EP2-PRO and the Engine X models, and I'm going to try to tell you some details and differences between those two models and this one. I'm going to start with the most important one, the Engine X and the ENGWE EP2-PRO. Both have a hub motor that is geared. Gear motors have internal gearing and they have a reduction, and that reduction increases the motor torque, but the motor spins something like 4 times faster. That type of motor has some advantages, as it has a lot more torque, obvious, when you go uphill, but it's noisier, and also it's kind of limited when it comes to top speed because the motor already spins very fast. Another advantage of the geared motor is that it has a one-way clutch, so when the wheel spins and you don't use power, it actually doesn't have any kind of braking power, nor it put any kind of strain or drag on the bike. So if you are going downhill or on a straight line, the bike will just coast and there is no friction that tries to steal your power. It's just like rolling and rolling and rolling without any kind of resistance. On the Engine Pro bike, the motor is a direct drive hub motor, so this doesn't have any kind of gearing. So it has magnets around, and those magnets are activated by the electromagnets. Well, and that's it. There's no internal reduction gears, there's no torque amplification, so the motor needs a lot of power to put a good amount of torque. The particularity of this motor is that, being direct drive, it means that when you are not pedaling and not putting any kind of effort, the motor has an effect which is called magnetic cogging. So when you go, you are freewheeling or going downhill with the bike, the magnets inside the motor kind of try to fix on the fixed armatures of the internal windings of the motor, and it creates a magnetic force that tries to stop the motor, and it puts an effort. So when you are going downhill, the motor will kind of brake you. Also, when you are going flat on a terrain, the motor will also add a small drag, so you feel a bit of resistance, which doesn't happen, as I've told you, on the geared motor. And you might say until now that, okay, but why not use only geared motors, because they are better, they do make a lot more noise, they don't go very fast, but you can do 45 kilometers with them on the Engine X and with the EP2-PRO. Why put a direct drive motor on this one? Well, for instance, this motor is very silent, it doesn't make any kind of noise, it just has a small humming, and it's more pleasant for some kind of people. Also, it has the built-in energy recovery system, because the particularity of this motor is when you are actually putting effort on the motor, you can put the controller in recovery mode, so that magnetic dragging force, it's back converted by the motor into energy, and the battery is once again filled up when you are going downhill. So you get kind of an electric braking, you are saving the brake pads and you are getting some energy back. So that's the main advantage of this type of motor, and that's why these electric motors with direct drive are used also in electric cars and on electric scooters, because they all have regenerative braking, and that happens with this type of e-bike. Last but not least, the direct drive motors also are much better for top end speed. At the same voltage and similar power with a geared motor, they don't have to spin 4 times faster, so they spin in their own rhythm, but that gets you a lot more faster on the same voltage on the same bike with the same load. So that's another advantage of these direct drive hub motors. Of course, we are going to test the top speed on this bike, and we are going to consider the top speed that I have got with the EP2-PRO and with the Engine X, and see if there is a big difference or not between these type of motors. Now let's continue with the technical part of the Engine Pro. So we get a full suspension frame with adjustable and lockable front suspension. You have preload here, you have locking options here, you have 160 millimeter disc brakes, and they are fully hydraulic front and back, while on the engine, on the EP2-PRO and the Engine X, they have mechanical cable brakes, so this one is fully hydraulic. Other nice things worth mentioning is the new headlamp, which is a lot more better, more powerful. It also has a good looking design, pretty sleek, but enough power to actually light up the road. This gets in the package with another kind of clear designed tail lamp, which is also good, and it also has a functional brake lamp. They change a bit the design. Both of them also, at least this one, has a reflective also inside, so if you don't power it up, it's going to shine up if some light comes from the back. That's also very important if you are from the EU Union, because you need to have at least something red that lights up without energy, so it has reflective. The same goes for the wheels, so you have a kind of safety package. You need to have this on the front and rear wheels. Also the pedal have it, so you are 100% legally with that. Not with the power, we are going to discuss that also later. The front headlamp also comes with a working horn now, and it has this nice controller here, so we are going to move to that. We get a nice display, and the display is now color, and it's fully readable in sunshine. It's not sunshine right now because the weather is like this, and today it's actually good because we had rain for almost 2 weeks, and it's very cold, but this is visible in full sunshine, so I really enjoy that. Besides being color and looking all nice and having a lot of information here, which we are also going to discuss about, and you can change a lot of settings, and it has a lot of work modes. And of course I'm going to cover all the feature and the settings in another dedicated video, which I'm going to add somewhere here. It's going to be a playlist with ENGWE Engine Pro videos and ENGWE e-bikes. The design and quality has also been improved with the Engine Pro. You now get leather handlebar grips, no more rubber or plastic one. They also have aluminum locking caps, so they will not slide around, so they do not rotate. You get a nice throttle here, thumb throttle, no longer a twist throttle. This is very comfortable to use. You get this nice and easy to use button switch, combination switch with the display. You have cruise control, you have lights, you also have automated lights, because here in the display in the top of it, it has a light sensor, and you have options here to turn it on or off, and when it's dark enough, just like a car, it's going to turn on the headlamp and the tail lamp automatically for you. A very good improvement, and a thing that I haven't seen until now on e-bikes. At least none of that I have tested until now, so this is the first one for me in this e-bike. If you are new to ENGWE e-bikes, so this is the first review that you see about an ENGWE model. I'm also going to tell you about the frame. The frame is also improved on this model because now the frame is wider to adopt larger batteries and higher capacity. They did this thing, so they have this wing here that goes around, and this one, so they widen up this stem here, so it's no longer a thin pipe that is welded to the frame. They actually widen it up and it's welded around here, and this is cast from one single piece here, and this brings you a lot of resistance on this part, so it's not going to break. Then, because the frame is wider, all this clasp and folding mechanism has been upgraded, and it's even larger and thicker and wider and stronger, and it has more space to weld on the frame, so it's even more resistant. And all the hinge here, it's oversized, so it has a lot of strength. Then this part here, which also acts as a handle, increases the frame strength, creates a triangle here. Also you have this part here to fully improve the strength of the bike, so it doesn't have a weak point where the frame can flex from the weight, from the power to break off. So this is very, very strong also on this part. The Engine Pro, like the Engine X, also come really well equipped, so they have this very solid rear rack that can hold a lot of weight. It can also hold the ENGWE bag with extensible cobs, so really good if you are carrying a lot of stuff with you. You can see that I carry the solar panel with portable solar generator somewhere here, so it's amazing the load capacity. You can carry a lot with it, and you are not going to strain your back with backpacks, so that's over. Pretty good to have this one included. Of course, if you want a lighter bike, you can take this off. It has a few screws and it's out. Then you get full metal mudguards, and they are full mudguards. They are not sport mudguards, plastic mudguards that are there only for design. So these really hold on the water and dirt, so it doesn't get on your clothes when you are biking on a crappy day. The comfort on the Engine Pro is also very good. Like on other ENGWE bikes, you have a tall handlebar stem that can also be adjusted for very tall persons, and it has a riser type handlebar, so you have a very nice riding position. You feel like you are riding a chopper, you are comfortable, your back is straight. It's not like a sport bike when you stay that way over the bike and you lean and you're getting home with your back hurting. It's not happening with this. You get very nice riding position. After all, this is a e-bike, so you don't need a very aerodynamic position to be efficient. You just ride this for utility and fun, so you want to be safe, comfortable, and the motor provides enough power to be non-aerodynamic and to carry a lot of weight, so you don't have to bother with that. So this is just for fun and pleasure riding. And it's now time to ride it, to see how it actually rides and how it feels with that motor, with this configuration, to see the performance, the torque, the speed, and to see the riding modes. Hopefully you are going to also see the display. I kind of adjusted it to be lean toward me, so you can see the information here. Very interesting thing is that you can also see the instant power that it's drawn by the motor, and that's very, very nice. It has several riding modes that we are going to discuss while we ride it. For reference, I have about 85 kilograms. Also today I'm running rather light, so I have the original large ENGWE bag there, and I have some cameras and gears, but that's not very heavy because today I'm not having tripods with me, no solar panels and no drone. So this is, let's call it light. Very interesting thing and very nice to have. We have a assisted walk mode, so if I hold the minus button here, the bike goes right away and you can actually get out of a nasty situation. You can no longer push this, so you just walk next to it. Saves you energy, while the bike already shows you the needed power to do this thing that it does right now. So first thing first, because I still have full battery, although I did about 10 kilometers until now, I'm going to go in fifth gear mode here. I'm going to switch to sport mode, and we are going to test the top speed. Wow, and the acceleration is pretty good. It has pretty good kick. I'm not using the pedals at all. And we are already doing 35 kilometers per hour. 40 and 43, 45. And I was doing 45 kilometers per hour, but something strange happened. Actually, it was not strange. The bike was not getting any more speed, because in the meantime the cruise control has kicked in, and around 45 kilometers per hour it decided that that's the throttle that I want, because the wait time was over, and then it just remained at 45 kilometers per hour. So I'm going to disable the cruise control, and you can do that quickly by pressing this plus button here. When you activate it or hold it for a few seconds, it will activate or deactivate the cruise control, so you don't have to enter the bike settings. Although if you enter the settings, you have an option there to manually enable or disable it. You can do it quickly from here. So I'm going to repeat the test. I'm going to turn back. Okay, and we are going to do that one more time and see if it goes even faster than that. But we need to avoid those nasty speed bumps, because they can really throw you. Also, you have here the indicator of the instant power, which is really nice. It has here a load meter and also the exact power amount that you are using, and you can see when I accelerate and I'm on third gear here, I get more than 500 watts. So let's check it now. Fifth gear, full throttle. You can see that I'm using actually 999 watts, because this is not showing over 1000 watts of power, but I'm actually doing over 1 kilowatt of power. Over 40 kilometers per hour going uphill now, so this also provides enough torque. And that kind of concludes the test speed for now. so that's around 45 kilometers per hour. With all that weight, it's only a few degrees outside, so the battery is very cold. The battery is also showing 100% here, but I already have let's see, I already have run this for 12 kilometers. So with the battery full and probably with the battery at 25 centigrade, this will probably do a few kilometers more. And you've seen that even going uphill, it still managed to do 40 kilometers per hour. The speed is actually faster than on the EP2-PRO and the Engine X, because those kind of top out at around 40 kilometers per hour. They do get to 45 if you are going slightly downhill or helping it with your pedals. This does 45 rather fast, and I haven't used my pedals at all, so it really rides very fast. The acceleration is also very good, and you don't feel the lack of multiplication gears that you get on the hub motor. And if you pedal, the acceleration is really good. You can feel it kicking, but I'm also on sport mode. Now if I go back to eco mode and if I pedal, the acceleration is also good, but you feel that it's not going that fast, not getting that speed that fast. And that's good, because the accelerating of the electric bike and the top speed are the worst enemies for the battery runtime. So if you are riding slower and not accelerating very hard, then you will have a very good range. Otherwise, you are going to end up the battery, regardless of how large it is, very fast. Also, the brakes are really good. It's a thing that I also told you in the Engine X review, that a thing that I didn't like, actually it was one of the cons for that bike, were the brakes, because the brakes were kind of not that strong for that kind of bike, because the bike is heavy, it had a lot of power, it had a lot of weight, speed, and when you are braking, you feel that you are braking very hard. The bike stops. You can lock the wheels actually, but you are putting some effort into it. Well, with this fully hydraulic brakes, you can stop this Engine Pro right away without any kind of problems. And the suspension works brilliant on this bike, because you can adjust the front one. The rear one is not adjustable, but the geometry with the swing arms works really nice. It's not very soft, nor it's very hard. It's just appropriate. Well, of course, again, for my 85 kilograms, probably if you are lighter, the suspension is going to be a bit hard for you. If you are heavier, then it's going to be a bit softer for you, but you get the idea. It's somewhere in normal parameters, and it works really nice. You can do this with the bike. You are actually not feeling most of it. It's just a tiny bump, but it soaks up very nice. And I'm running the fat tires now at 20 psi, which is the maximum indicated on them. But if you are going to go lower than that, the ride quality will be even more better than that, because that's why fat tires have been invented, not to run them always filled to the maximum, but to get some cushioning from them. Of course, you are going to lose some range, some top speed, but that's how you do it with the fat tires. Now let's talk about the run modes. So you get default 3 modes here with Eco, you get normal, and you get sport. You can adjust those with holding the middle button here pressed. That modifies the top power that the bike will deliver, so that improves acceleration and top speed when you are at the maximum controller power. We are going to start with Eco. The bike has 0 and 5 electric gears. With 0, now it's just a bike, you pedal it alone. On first gear and second gear you can ride it, so if you remain without battery you can limp home with it. You are not going to die pushing it, although the motor, you can hear it now because it's not working, it's 0 power. It has a hum, which means that let me stop because I have magnetic clogging, but you can pedal it home and you are going to do it. Then on first gear you get the first assistant level. The assistance works coexisting with the throttle, so I can push the throttle, the bike starts. It uses up to 500 watts of power to start. Then you can also pedal, and it has a tiny delay, and when I pedal now I get the assisting power, and I get here the motor used power. The motor also has a very smart thing. It has an assisted coasting, so if I want to go straight and not put any kind of effort, or going downhill and I don't want to have braking effect from the motor, I can simply just ghost pedal it, and it's going to put some power here, not the maximum power, not the assisted power, just enough power so it doesn't brake me. So on gear 1 you get something like constant riding for 70 watts of power. That's very easy on the battery, but it's also very slow. That's good when you are riding on a mixed pedestrian bike road like here, so you avoid people and you are not using a lot of battery, you are relaxing yourself. On second gear you get more speed, more acceleration, you get something like 50 kilometers per hour. On third gear we get something like 23 kilometers per hour. Going to try the fourth gear right now. And that's going to more than 30 kilometers per hour, 31, and it's still accelerating, but not very fast, because I'm going to explain you why. And on fifth mode, that's the unlimited mode, so it's putting all the power, but you can see here it's limited to 500 watts, so it's not doing anything more. The bike will go faster only if it can do that going downhill or on a straight line, but it will not exceed that power, so it actually protects your battery. If you change it from normal, in normal, now I get 700 and something, 733 watts, something around 700 watts. If I go even more, if I go to the sport mode, you get the 999. That's actually over 1 kilowatt of power that I'm pumping into. And for that the speed is unlimited, because that's how I have set it from the menu, and that's very easy to do. Alright, so you have seen the electric gears and work modes. Now let's talk about the gearing, the drivetrain. As you know, on the Engine X I have mentioned that the bike being made out for the EU market, limited actually to 25 kilometers per hour, 250 watts. Of course you can unlock it, but being made for that speed range, it also had 7 gears. This one has 8 gears, and it has closed gears. And on the top gear, on the 7th gear, it was kind of made to run at 25 kilometers per hour, because going to something faster like 30 kilometers per hour, your cadence was too fast to be sustainable. So it was kind of hard to pedal very fast. You could always use the electric throttle to get it faster, but it was not pleasant to pedal. On this one, although it has one extra gear, it also has the gear in other ranges. So let's see how that goes. I'm going to go in first gear and I'm going to cut the assistance, so I'm in 0 mode and I'm going to stop. So let's see. I can pedal right away, rather easy. I'm not putting much effort into riding this with no power. So let's go into second gear. Second gear is also decent. I get 11 kilometers per hour. Now I'm on third gear, and it's also easy to pedal in third gear, no assistance, and I get decent speed. Let's see, I'm in fourth gear. I'm getting some resistance. I can still pedal, 0 power from the motor, so I'm not cheating the test. Fifth gear, I can still pedal, but it's getting hard. I can feel it, and I cannot push it faster. I can if I do a bit of effort, but there's no idea in doing that. So I'm going to turn on the assistance. I'm going to go in third gear, and I'm pedaling very easy now. Let's see, sixth gear on the drivetrain. I'm doing almost 25 kilometers per hour, and I have a pretty good cadence. So let's change one more gear. I'm on seventh gear. I'm putting a bit of effort. You can see here the bike is also putting some effort. The speed will not go faster, nor I go slower, but I have very good cadence, and I can sustain this. I'm not pedaling too fast. So let's see now the fourth gear, which should be target of 35 kilometers per hour. Speed is increasing. I'm at 30 kilometers per hour. I get a bit too fast pedaling, so I'm on 8th gear now, and I'm pedaling comfortable, and I'm on 35. And yes, I can pedal with 35 kilometers per hour with no issues. I'm actually getting now to 38 kilometers per hour. It's getting a bit too fast, but if I want to accelerate even more, let's check it out. Fifth electric mode, pedaling for a boost of speed. I can pedal up to 45 kilometers per hour, which is really good. So the extra gear and the gear ranges are very good for this bike. So you can do a ride with pedaling and sustain a very good cadence without getting tired by overdoing it. And now you have seen how the bike rides, how it feels, how it works, the functions, the gearing, the power. So I'm really pleased with it. The motor, although I have told you at the beginning that it might not have enough torque, well, it has considerable torque, and it's similar with the Engine X and with the EP2-PRO. So it will go uphill the same way. The motor is a bit more silent, yet still has some noise. It is faster than the other ones with the gear motor, so from that point of view it has an improvement. I wasn't able to test the braking system because the battery is actually impressive, still full after about let me check. So I have here 22 kilometers. So after 22 kilometers I still have 100% battery, and the battery will not regenerate, will not use, the controller will not use regenerative braking while the battery is still full, because it cannot store any kind of excess power. So I haven't felt that it didn't work. It is enabled from the menu. I'm going to explain you the menu, all the functions in another video. So that was not tested, it didn't work because the battery is still full. Yet this shows how impressive the range is. So you have seen how I ride with the bike, the test. We did a test speed, we did a bit off-road there with pushing the bike, but you don't see that on the video. It went up that hill over there, so I have pushed it up there through all that grass. I have run this several times for several takes, used my 360-degree camera. So all in all, it was 22 kilometers with a lot of stops, with ups, downs, acceleration, testing all the gears, testing the most aggressive mode here, not the eco, not the normal, also the sports mode. So the power consumption was pretty big for testing out this bike, and with all of that taken into account, they still managed to show me 100% battery after 22 kilometers. So probably the range is very good, and a reason for that is the upgraded battery of the upgraded model. And as usual, I have some pros and cons at the end of each video. Well, there are a lot of pros on this bike because everything is very well made. It has a lot of accessories, everything works fine, it has very good brakes. That was a con on the previous model. The new display is very readable in daytime. The controller, the throttle all works fine. Even the horn works really nice, but I'm not going to do it right now because there are some wildlife there, some birds, and I don't want to scare them. And everything works fine. The suspension, the front suspension works really nice. Headlamp is very good, stop lamp is very good. So everything is nice. The motor runs very good for a direct drive motor. Only con I can think of, because I need to find the con, I would have wished that ENGWE will start using maybe an adjustable shock absorber, so a better one, like the front suspension that is very versatile because you can adjust the preload or lock it. I would have loved to see here a better shock, not a simple shock like this one that doesn't have any kind of adjustment. I would have wished to see maybe even a spring one that you can preload with a nut or something, not an expensive air one. Of course, you can always replace this. It's something like $80 on AliExpress. You can get an adjustable one with air, with oil, with an oil reservoir. You can go overboard with that. But I would have wished to see something better. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It works really nice. The suspension is pretty good, but that could be an improvement. Also, a small con, there are a lot of wires here. You cannot hide them because you have a lot. You have from the controller, you have from the throttle, you have from the display, brakes, brake inhibitors, all of that. But I would have wished to somehow hide those, but that's impossible on this type of bike because this folds, so you cannot put them through the frame. Maybe you could make it a bit more better looking with using this kind of spiral all over those cables, so you kind of hide them and not show all of those zip ties. It's an idea maybe for an improvement. Otherwise, I can functionally fault it in any kind of way, so the bike really performs really nice. It has good range, good power, good speed. Even the automated function for the headlamp and tail lamp works really well. As it have gotten dark, the sensor here measured the light intensity and it has automatically turned these on. Also, when you brake, it gets a lot more red in there, and this is a big reflector, so if a line shines, all of this is lighten up. As I've explained in the video, also the gears are very good, as you get a lot of options with the 8 gears. You can run this slow, you can run it fast, you can go uphill, downhill, and you won't pedal like crazy, up to 35 kilometers per hour. So that's really nice because they did the gearing right. And I think get even better, you get new pedals, very solid, full metal one that folds, very solid, and they click very well into position. You get a new kickstand, very solid. It holds the bike really well. Even if this is a heavy bike, it's very stable. The hydraulic brakes stop you on a dime. You can lock both wheels really fast. You had a lot of stopping power, so you can go fast and safely stop. And now the question, what to choose from these kind of models? Well, depends a lot of your local legislation, because in European countries you are actually not allowed to ride a bike with a throttle, nor a bike that has more than 250 watts of power. This has printed on the motor a big 750 watts of power there, 48 volts, 750 watts of power, and it even shows here on this display 999 watts of power when you are picking out. So this is not for Europe. Of course, you can ride it in Europe with caution. You can still limit the speed to 25 kilometers per hour. Then it's your problem if you get caught with it. I'm getting actually tired of this question, because each time when I do a bike review, most of the questions are how to unlock it, is it legal, this is not legal, how to make it legal. So everything revolves around this. Each time when I review a bike that does only 25 kilometers per hour, all the comments are how to unlock it, I want to go faster, how to modify it. Then when I review something that goes faster, it has more power, all the questions are how to limit this, because this is not legal in Europe. Well, ENGWE has came up with all the options, so you can get this, you can get all the power, much more speed, everything, but might not be legal in your area. Then if you still want this kind of performance, but you can also want to be fully compliant, you can get the X version, because that comes with 250 watts. It comes here with a big certification printed on the frame for Europe, and it's limited to 25 kilometers per hour, and it has a throttle that doesn't work. But if you check my video, you can see that you can de-restrict that, and it will have almost 900 watts of power, and it does have a throttle that you can enable back, and you can also unlimit the speed from 25 kilometers per hour to no speed limit, and you can still do more than 40 kilometers per hour with that. But that one has a geared motor and mechanical brakes. This one has full hydraulic brakes, it has a lot of more power, and it goes faster. So it's up to you to choose what you want. And there is also the EP2-PRO. The EP2-PRO, it's similar with the X version. It has the same motor, but it has 750 watts of power like this one, but doesn't have rear suspension. Bikes with no rear suspensions are also good because they are a bit lighter, they require less maintenance, they are more solid. So it depends on the type of road you are riding with the bike, the comfort that you want. But that one also is very good, and you save a bit of money because it's also cheaper, as it misses the suspension parts that are on this type of bike, and it has a kind of different frame. But again, that's very solid. Also, in regard to upgraded and non-upgraded version, on the upgraded version the battery really makes it more interesting, because you get a lot more range, so you can actually go faster for a longer distance, because each time when you go faster than 25 kilometers per hour you use a lot more battery. And also if you restrict the acceleration and go to 5th level here, this, and in sport mode, you are going to drain the battery very fast. So the bigger the battery, the better. So consider this: if you want to ride it fast and accelerate hard, you have lots of hills, then get the bigger battery, because it makes a huge difference. And with that said, also be sure to check here, I'm going to include a playlist with other videos regarding this model and general ENGWE bikes with a lot more models and tests. Be sure to check all those out, and until my next video, see you and bye bye.